There you are, still at the breakfast table. I feared you'd wandered off. Good boy. Come now, I need... Oh. I'm sorry. Am I interrupting something? Between you and my servant here, I mean. I see those smiles on your little faces. I'd hate to intrude on a private moment. Oh, I see. You were only thanking her for the lovely breakfast spread? How well-mannered of you. And it is such a delicious-looking array of foods, isn't it? All these ripe fruits, fresh from the orchard, golden-breaded pastries, not a moment out of the oven, creamy tarts, and scones and rolls. But your gratitude quite misses the mark, no? After all, the girl merely set your table. A trained circus animal could do that. It was your Empress that sent for all these treats for her beloved pet. Her chefs that prepared them. Her coin that furnished them. Is there, perhaps, someone in this room more deserving of your thanks than some servant? You're very welcome. As I told you, there is no material expense that I will spare to see the satisfaction of those closest to me. Unfortunately, we'll need to cut this splendid meal short. It's time for your bath. No, I have a number of illustrious guests who have travelled a very long way, awaiting an audience in the throne room. They have expressed a desire to conclude our discussion as swiftly as possible, lest that dreadful storm raging outside grow any worse and imperil their return journey. There is no time to spare. Put down the tart and follow me, quickly. What did you say? You don't genuinely believe that I'm concerned whether or not you're still hungry, do you? You wouldn't be foolish enough to deceive yourself into thinking I'd place the whims of your fickle stomach above the responsibilities of the imperial court. Because that would be an awfully stupid delusion to fall under, even for a guileless creature like you. Now get up. No, you may not take the tart with you. I won't have you throwing crumbs all over my freshly scrubbed carpets, like some ill-trained dog, scattering his filthy scraps around his mistress's home. What is that look on your face? Are you upset? Do you think I'm being cruel and unfair, keeping you from your morning meal? No, it's worse. That's defiance in your eyes, isn't it? Do not lie to your Empress. I see what's happening here. Those tasty delights that I've placed upon your tongue, and those comfortable silks that I've clothed you in, and the idle smile of my servant girl here, have made you forget yourself again. I suspected as much. These last few weeks under my tender care, it's not just your cheeks that have grown a little plump and ripe, is it? Your pride has swollen as well, and I have already told you how dangerous that can be. Whatever are we going to do to temper that pride? I'm curious how long that stubborn little scowl would last if... Actually, no. I have a better idea. I'll tell you what. I've changed my mind. Let it never be said that Empress T is not a woman of considerable generosity. Go ahead, pet. Finish the tart. No, don't apologize. I told you. I have changed my mind. Does my face look at all unsure or insincere? You need not worry about your bath. We can dispense with that for this morning. Finish that tart. Finish the whole plate of them, if you like. In fact, cram every morsel on this table down your little throat, if it suits you. I can see plainly that you're simply starving, and I would be loath to stand between you and your so very richly deserved treats. Go on. Eat it. I said, eat it. Good boy. Chew it down thoroughly now. I wouldn't want you to choke. If you'll excuse me, I have to proceed to the throne, but you may stay here and dine as long as you like. Gorge yourself to your heart's content. I will return to our chambers after my meeting. Until then, I will bid you farewell with a kiss on the forehead. No, pet. Don't shy away now. I can see you're still uneasy. You're not afraid of a little kiss, are you? There we are. Now, business awaits. Oh, and you, girl? Yes, I'm speaking to you, servant. Come walk with me as I depart. Good girl, I have some special instructions for you. Leave my pet in peace to finish his meal. He's obviously very hungry, and he will feast on just what he deserves today. Hello? Where are you, pet? You'll be pleased to learn that I've returned to you early. My meeting with those half-wit barons concluded mercifully ahead of schedule. I've been looking all over my chambers for... Oh no! Is that you out there, pet? What are you doing all alone on the balcony? And in this dreadful storm? Why, it's raining buckets out there, and you're not even wearing a cloak. You're still dressed in your house clothes. You must be soaked to the skin. Here, let me open the door. Hurry inside, quickly. What happened? What do you mean? I know you can't help your chattering teeth, darling, but try not to stammer. I can hardly understand you to begin with over this howling rain. Yes, of course, I know how my pet so enjoys going outside on the balcony. So, you are telling me that you stepped outside earlier, and then what happened? Someone closed the balcony door and latched it by mistake? Oh, poor thing. You've been locked out here in the midst of this horrid downpour and these blistering stormy winds? Oh dear. One of the servants must have seen the balcony door ajar and latched it, perhaps not realizing that you were outside. I ordered them to leave you alone so as not to interrupt your special meal. since I could see how hungry you were this morning. Doubtless they obeyed me, so they could hardly hear you calling for help. You must have been trapped for at least an hour, perhaps longer. How positively awful! No wonder you're shaking and shivering, like some poor defenceless rabbit caught in the eye of a blizzard. This rain must have chilled you to the bone, and water is running down your scalp in rivulets. It's utterly ruined your beautiful hair. This is just terrible. I can't bear to think of how you must have felt, cowering all alone out here for so long, with those baleful winds and this unrelenting torrent of stinging raindrops beating down on your shoulders, soaking every inch of you. Oh, shh. But don't fret. I'm here now. Empress is here to rescue her good boy. Take my hand. That's it. I've got you. Oh. But wait. I'm afraid I can't allow you to step inside in this condition. Your clothes are so cold and wet and clammy. You'd think they'd been pilfered from a shipwreck. I can't let you drip dirty rainwater all over my polished wooden floor. And besides, you're liable to catch a deathly chill if you stay in those wet garments. And we wouldn't want that. Take them off. Yes, all of them, pet. Your underclothes will have to go as well, I'm afraid. They're no doubt as wet as all the rest. But don't worry. Your mistress hasn't forgotten how shy you are about undressing before her. I'll respect your modesty and close my eyes. When you're finished, take this towel here and dry off, then wrap it around your body to cover yourself. There we are. Good boy. Quick as ever to follow instructions. Shh. Don't fret. I'm not looking. Finished? I'm sorry. I know how you chafe at being like this before me. That little humiliated look in your downturned eyes is adorable. But I promise that this is only for your own good. Here, take my hand again. Let me lead you into the drawing room. There's a good boy. Oh, how fortunate that the fire is already stoked and roaring, ready to press the warmth back into your chilled muscles and sinews. But after what you've endured, you'll need more than just a distant flame to warm you. You require a more intimate warmth. Here, let me sit down on this armchair, and you may sit on my lap. I'll draw this soft, heavy satin blanket over the both of us. Let its folds envelop you. Don't you already feel so much better? Dry and out of those awful drenched clothes. Wrapped up snug and tight in this lovely soft fabric. The lapping flames of the fire embracing you from without, while the warmth of my body cradles you from within. Of course you do. Shh. No need to speak, pet. Your teeth are still chattering from the cold, and it's difficult to understand you. But your little purrs of contentment tell me all I need to know. Oh, I just can't believe such a trifling mistake could lead to this. How horrible. You poor little thing. Let me bring my hand up to stroke your hair. You are quite fond of me doing that, aren't you? Wrap your arms around me now. Nestle in close. You're safe now, darling, I promise. No more cold wavelets of rain. No more ear-splitting thunder and hideous lightning streaking across the sky. None of those frightening things can reach my good boy within his safe, soft blanket. Focus on your Empress's gentle hand, petting your head. Focus on embracing her nice, warm body. Relax. Oh, is that a shy smile that I spy creeping onto your trembling lips? Oh, it is such a relief to be home and back in my arms again. Isn't it, pet? As we recline here, would you like something to drink? Let me ring for a servant. Girl, fetch a cup of hot tea for my companion here, and remember to add a pinch of sugar and a spoonful of honey. I want this drink to be especially sweet on his tongue. He deserves it, after the day he's had. Poor thing. Hurry along now. Good girl. My. What was that, pet? Did you think that I wouldn't notice you hiding your head beneath the cover of your blanket as my servant approached us? Your Empress notices everything, as I often remind you. Not that you are being particularly subtle. Why ever did you do such a silly thing, I wonder? Are you embarrassed to be seen like this, in this weakened, exposed state that you find yourself in, sitting here in my lap? Or was that little retreat beneath the covers not a conscious choice on your part, but rather the work of base instinct? Perhaps it's just in the nature of rats to try to burrow deep down into the shadows when they feel vulnerable. That is, after all, how you arrived on these shores in the first place. If memory serves, skulking in a box in the dark. Perhaps such soft-hearted behavior merely comes naturally to someone like you. Oh, what is that hurt look all of a sudden? What is that fresh wetness in your eyes? Oh, I see. I called you a rat, didn't I? I know how that so badly wounds your pride when I do that. But you simply must understand. It's very difficult to resist calling a creature what he so plainly is. It's so hard to pretend that you're anything but a little rat, scared and confused and helpless, when a few teasing words can make you writhe and squirm nervously. against my body like that. If only you could feel the desperation with which your little paws cling to me as shame wells inside you, you would see the wisdom in my words. Shh, shh, shh. No need to apologize. I'm hardly upset with you. It is folly to be upset at an animal for acting in accordance with his nature. And I know very well by now what sort of timid animal you are. Though, I will confess, it is a touch amusing to watch you now, behaving so demurely and being so delightfully submissive after your little tantrum at breakfast this morning. Oh, pet, if only you could see how wide your eyes just grew. Fear looks so very adorable on you. You didn't think that I'd forgotten your insolent behavior towards me this morning, did you? How you protested when I ordered you to take your bath? How you looked at me with that laughable righteousness in your eyes, as though I was being so utterly unfair with you. No, don't fret. I'm not vexed with you any more. As I said, I'm merely amused. You were so confident this morning, smiling, holding your head high, in good spirits, stuffing your mouth with those delicious tarts. You looked every bit the pompous little princeling. You certainly had no problem speaking with my servant girl and looking her in the eye then. And now look at you, cowering, clutching at my body with trembling, anxious hands under your blanket, frightened even to allow that same servant to see your face. I wonder what turned my pretty princeling back into this wretched rat. Shh, shh. No stammering now. Save your words. I know what happened. You dread the thought of her seeing you like this. I admit, you've looked almost dignified these last few days, as all the hours I've lavished on preening and primping you have yielded their fruit. Strutting around my chambers in your dashing doublet, with those little bands of gold that I gifted you, glimmering on your fingers. Each day you've looked less a stowaway and more a sovereign's consort. How dismaying it was for me when I began to realize that pretty coat of paint that I so painstakingly layered over your ugly underbelly was beginning to give you delusions of independence. And yet, though it required all those dozens of hours of tedious work expended to make you presentable, observe that it hardly took the slightest sliver of effort to wash it all down the drain. A few buckets of filthy rainwater to scour the gel from your hair and strip those beautiful clothes off of you, and my spell was broken, leaving you here before me as what you truly are. This small, wet, helpless thing hiding away from the world, under his blanket, like a frightened animal, clinging shamelessly to his mistress's bosom, at once desperate for her affection and approval, and terrified of her wrath. Oh my! Don't fret. I promise you're safe under there. I won't take away your blanket, or what remains of your dignity. It hardly matters either way. You know very well that she will never look at you the same way again. Tomorrow morning, no matter how glittering the gold on your fingers, how well pressed the silk of your shirt, how trimmed and well styled your hair, she'll look at you and see only the pitiful thing huddled in my lap that she saw tonight. Are you about to cry? Oh, my apologies. I shouldn't have laughed like that. I actually feel quite sorry for you, having to learn your lesson like this. But you must know that you've brought this all upon yourself. I did warn you, teaching you your place wouldn't always be a pleasant affair. You may shed tears if you need to. I can see that you're feeling very tender right now. It's all right. Let me rub your back and soothe you. There. Doesn't that feel nice? I do so enjoy the feeling of your bare skin under my soft palms. No, no, don't flinch. You aren't going anywhere. Just let me caress you. It's your pride that brought you down to this humiliating position here in my lap tonight. Did you know that? That same pernicious pride that keeps straying you from the proper path of a loyal pet. This is hardly the first time you've been impudent or defiant with me, is it? Your pride gives you these high-minded ideas about dignity and self-regard. It deceives you into forgetting who and what you truly are. It makes you so silly. Pride is not so very different from a flame, you know. Like the ones licking the hearth in the fireplace over there. A little flame can be a very useful and comforting thing. I hardly need to convince you of that, given your current position. But left unchecked, flames only devour. No matter how much they're fed, they hunger for more and more. So, from time to time, it's prudent to douse them with a measure of cold water. And a prideful ego is no different. Sometimes it grows beyond its bounds, and a healthy dose of cold water is in order. Oh, poor thing. I can see that fearful realization dawning in your eyes. Did you think it was mere chance that you were locked outside in the freezing rain today? I thought it quite a poetic punishment, truth be told. Since you were too arrogant to take your warm comfortable lavender-scented bath with me. I thought I'd instruct my servant to arrange for you to be introduced to a decidedly less hospitable bath, courtesy of nature. And that bath cleaned up your stubborn demeanour quite nicely, didn't it? Oh, don't look so frightened, pet. I knew you'd only be trapped for an hour or so before I come to take you out of the cold. I would never put you at any real risk. Your behaviour simply demanded a hard lesson today, and I reluctantly had to oblige you. Don't shy away from me. Nuzzle back into my chest. You will stay here as long as I want you to. Rest easy. Your punishment is over, and you're forgiven for your behaviour. I only hope that you won't soon forget what I taught you today. Ah, there you are, girl. What took you so long? Hand me the teacup. Oh, my companion? His little whimpers tug at one's heartstrings, I know, but I assure you he's quite all right under there. He's merely embarrassed to have you see him in such a compromising position, that's all. Good girl. You're dismissed. You may bring your head out from under there, pet. She's gone. Here, let me serve you your tea. There you are. Open your mouth, take a sip. Delicious, isn't it? Oh, you are very welcome, pet. And what a deliciously servile tone you use when you say, "Yes, Empress." Colour me impressed. I almost thought you'd forgotten how to address me properly, with all of your brashness in these last weeks. But now I see that you just needed a little reminder. Perhaps you'll always need a little reminder of what you are, every now and then. A few drops of proverbial rainwater drizzled down your back to keep you humble. That's perfectly all right. I'm quite willing to do what I must to properly train you. I care very deeply for you, pet. I hope you know that. You're my very favourite plaything. And even if you sometimes give me cause to be harsh with you, my affection for you is undiminished. In fact, it's that very affection that moves me to administer such lessons, to protect you from your own worst impulses. I so dread to see my precious pet debase himself by slipping into disobedience and disarray. I only want what is best for you. You know that, don't you? Thank you, pet. I knew you would come to understand the method in my treatment, after all is said and done. Here, perhaps a gentle kiss will remind you of the depth of my love for you.